Hi, Sardo.
Hey, Stross.
How's it going?
It's going. You know, it-
I
you
mean,
know how it's going, Stross. You
well,
know
yeah,
how it's going.
I do know how it's going. You told me. You hurt yourself while sleeping. If it makes you feel any better, I hurt my hip doing that way today.
Uh, this also, but you know how it's actually going. Nishitani Homare the Third.
Your boy has a boy. How does it feel?
Okay, but before we delve into this, hi everybody. This is the Skeleton Crew podcast. How the hell you doing?
Hi.
That's Stross. That's
Hi.
Stross. I'm Sardo. Uh,
We're your hosts. Uh, we're, our refusal to open.
the Third.
We don't have a theme song, so I guess being weird in the opening is our only recourse in action that we can take. Anyway, you
I
want to get started by talking about your boy.
I
Your hideous
Okay,
Borbos.
so I guess rewind a little bit. So for those of you who might not, for those of you who might not be in the fandom sphere, that's fine. That's cool. How you doing? You're probably like your life is so free right now. Uh, Sega announced some new Ryuga Gotoku Yakuza games. Ryuga Gotoku if you're nasty. Um,
And we're
uh,
nasty.
the mainline Yakuza Infinite Wealth. It's the continuation of Yakuza Like a Dragon, and also Yakuza the Man Who Erased His Name.
Gaiden. That's the Gaiden one.
Gaiden. And that's more of like a sub thing I'm feeling like, but TLDR, um we got some character drops announced with like face models and voice actors and stuff. And for those of you familiar with Yakuza 0, the prequel game to the franchise, there was a dude in it for two scenes. One Nishitani Homare, my love,
Your
my
disgusting
favorite
love.
character in the
Your
my who was a nasty horny man who showed up again for two scenes, maybe a combined total of 10 minutes of screen time, and then he fucking died. But he had a real big effect on losers like me.
no, I just love this. It's like, no, you have to understand. He's the worst. I love him.
He's gross. He's horrible. He's a bad man.
He's my
And
favorite.
and I like him so much, but it just dropped that we are getting a character whose name is also Nishitani Homare, who is clearly not the Nishitani we know from Zero. He is a for one thing, he's like in his early 20s,
He, he,
and
he
he has no
looks
wrinkles.
he looks distinctly less gross.
He's a young Korean man who is very attractive. I believe his voice actor is a Korean gentleman.
Yes, it is.
And
Hold on. Let me.
but he's like a very nice looking young man in like a fancy suit. And we learn that okay, here's the thing, because when I first got the news, it's like, holy shit.
Yes. Kim Jaeok, I believe is how it's pronounced.
Mhm.
I'm not super
Yeah.
familiar. I don't listen to a lot of stuff that's Korean, so I'm not super strong.
Yes. But from the gist I get, because initially there was a lot of noise that wait, like Nishitani had a kid. I mean, that would make sense because the original Nishitani really got around.
There's
He
he has 72 illegitimate children.
that man had some sex. Yeah, that was a sex having kind of guy. And I don't know if you knew this, Strauss, but sex makes babies. But
No.
yeah, I'm sorry to break it to you, man. It's not the stork. But from what I am getting, um, This Nishitani, the Nishitani Homare name kind of became like a legacy thing, not unlike the Magoichi in Sengoku stuff.
Or the Stross and
It was like
Sardo, as we will continue to live forever. You're not getting rid of us that easily.
yeah, listen, I'm already like I've picked out my person who's gonna take on the Sardo mantle when I am too old and decrepit to podcast in 5 years.
I'm glad we get 5 years. That's longer than any other podcast I've had. So you know what?
It's
I'll take
something.
it. I'll take it.
But the Nishitani name is apparently kind of a mantle passed down now. So I want to know if that's the case. Who was Nishitani 2?
Nishitani 2 was a swell gentleman who loved billiards and velvet suits.
But in that case, okay, if the Nishitani name is hereditary, was the original Nishitani's name even Nishitani? I'm going to say Nishitani as many times as I possibly can in this podcast, in the hopes of summoning him like Beetlejuice. I think his real name was Billykin Jr. Billykin after his adopted uncle father, whatever Billykin was. Billykin's name was Billykin. This is gonna be such garbage nonsense to people who don't know what I'm talking about, and I'm so sorry.
But yeah,
Stross, I'm so fucked up right now.
it's
I
like
changed my display name on Discord to Nishitani Homare the Third.
it needs to be noted that Sardo, who is in pain, back pain, not fun, and then this at the same time is combined for an incredibly delirious moment.
Also, in the other game, in the mainline game, we got Ichiban's naked.
Yeah, and we got his naked, and they doxed his whole booty.
They doxed his whole butt, both cheeks.
His whole butt has been doxed. He's in Hawaii, by the way.
All we know of this so far is that okay, also big news because so for one thing, Ichiban washed up on the beach in Hawaii.
Very important.
Dick and balls to the wind. And also, apparently, he proposed to Psycho.
He's got good taste.
Psycho's like top notch lady.
Yeah,
I don't
really
him
doing that. We're like, no, you made the right choice. If it didn't work out, that sucks, bro.
I'm proud of you for trying, man.
Yeah. Everyone's going like, no, you picked a top tier lady right there. You made a good choice.
But apparently, this has been a very controversial move within the fandom because.
All right, we're surrounded by Fujoshi here. I forgot.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, for one thing, bisexual people exist.
Yeah, for starters, and second off, it's Seiko. Look at her.
Seiko's
Look at her.
Perfect.
Well, perfect.
Seiko is that.
She would be a perfect woman if Kaine Near didn't exist. Because we keep saying she's perfect woman, and we're gonna have to keep that Brandon going.
Now, yes, she is one of the women of all time.
Yeah, she is a woman of all time, and therefore everyone should marry her. Like every single person, she should have an infinite amount of husbands and wives.
Just like Ichiban should have multiple boyfriends and girlfriends.
Exactly. Didn't they read the comic where he played the flute and everyone's like, well, I can't not fuck him now.
Well, I can't not fuck him.
I know you've seen that one.
Charizard is actually the only Pokemon who can't learn Hyper Beam. 7 vaginas.
Think about it.
But
7 vaginas.
But so yeah, that has been not. There's been some people who are not super happy with that, which that's like your opinion, man.
We're saying no, he should go for it.
I don't know. It's like as shitty as the Yakuza series treats a lot of its women, like it's got some wonderful women and it treats them horribly. So I hope that people don't start like demonizing her for this because she's great. She's so great. Everybody
Oh,
loves her, and I
wait,
really hope that doesn't
Sardo, I
change.
just realized something.
Well,
At the end of it, we might get a wedding.
oh shit.
He's gonna wear the same suit to his wedding
Well,
with
yeah,
his
because he doesn't
silly
have
hair,
money.
with his stupid hair that we love, and his
His
whole
perfect
ass that was doxxed will be
Is
there.
okay. The question though, to make that work, is he gonna like cut the butt out of his suit? Is he gonna have like a union suit deal with like
No,
just
no,
the ass
no.
flap
Seiko's gonna
open?
make sure he has assless chaps for pants.
Oh, thank God. I love
Because
that woman.
she's a woman of all time. Damn it.
But big news if you are a person who enjoys Yakuza. Um,
We got new games on the horizon. That's fun.
I'm very excited. Like I don't know what the hell's going on, but I'm excited.
I'm here for Secret Agent Kiryu / Spider Kiryu.
Yes, across
Spider
the
Kiryu.
Kiryuverse.
Spider Kiryu. He can do anything a Spider Kiryu does. Oh my god, that's a bike. He is hitting me with the bike. Please stop.
Look at
Kiryu-san.
and is Nishitani the Third related to Lupin the Third?
No.
Why not?
Well, because Lupin the Third is French, and
So
they haven't. Now he might be related to Goemon.
I guess
Or jogging. Everyone loves jogging.
maybe who knows? I don't know. That's another thing we need to talk about at some point in another episode that isn't this episode.
Yeah, not this episode. We're talking about a
Anyway.
different thing. Also, I got some fun news before we move on. So apparently for the Persona 3 remake, which is also making the rounds, also by Sega now, man, Sega just feeding us both with heaping spoonfuls of news.
Like a mother bird vomiting into its baby's mouth.
Ah, love it. Apparently, they're gonna be remixing the music tracks, which is interesting because that's not something they normally do outside of the dancing games, and I'm actually kind of here for it, except one.
Which one?
You better not be touching the ending theme. You leave that one alone.
Okay.
Well, okay, I have a question for you. So obviously, Shoji Meguro does the music for the Persona series.
Yes.
He had an AMA late last year because he's also making his own game because he's neat.
All right.
Because he's a neat man who does neat things. And someone asked him, Mr. Meguro, love your work. What do you consider your magnum opus? And if not, when do you think that might come about? And he just said, Memories of You, the ending theme for Persona 3. And everyone's like, yeah, no, he's right. Everyone's like, don't touch it, or else the knives will come out.
Yeah, I am familiar with the song. I do think that it'd make some people pretty pissed off if something happened to that song.
It's just kind of like perfect in its own way.
It doesn't need to be fucked with. It's unfuckable.
Well, I know. I think it's pretty fuckable, just not in that way.
You know what I mean.
But yeah, that's interesting on our part. Also, they're going to have all the social links finally voiced, which was something everyone was like, well, they kind of have. That's like something they kind of have to do now, and it's so great because now Bebe is going to be voiced, and now I want the fakest, most offensive French accent possible for him.
Oh, good.
Hello, this is Bebe. I love you so much.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. I love the Nihon. Like, this better be just the worst French accent possible because that's what this deserves. And lovingly.
Since he's talking about Japan as a French weeb, would he call it Nihon?
No, it would be Nihon.
Damn.
Because, he can't pronounce the last syllable. Nihon. Nihon.
You sound like a dog with peanut butter on the roof of its mouth.
Have you heard French? That's what it sounds like.
Yes, exactly.
I'm so glad this is an English-speaking podcast and we don't know anyone who's actually French. I know some French Canadians.
I I can make the jokes because I have French family members, so it's okay.
Fair enough. And I'm Mexican, and we fought 2 wars against you French fucks. So fuck off.
Okay.
Get Cinco de Mayo.
So, and from what I've heard too, because Stross, we've discussed this
Yeah.
with the new Persona 3 remake, there's also been some controversial decisions.
This
Do
is
we want to
true.
talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, I personally feel like it's a wasted opportunity not to just put all that shit into one box
Mm-hmm.
after you've had years of not having it all in one box. For those who don't understand what the hell I'm talking about, which is fair, I mean that Persona 3 has several versions of itself. You have the original from 2006, you have Fest, which is the re-release, and then you have Persona 3 Portable, which has the Femc route, where you play as a girl.
And a lot of people like Femc very much. She
Very much
is,
so.
you know, I don't know a ton about her, but I like her from what I know about her.
She is generally fairly popular. I wouldn't say she's the most popular character from that game, only because there's a lot
Yeah.
of characters, so it's hard to be the most popular.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that, but she's very well liked, and the last time she appeared, they basically went like, "No, you are canon, girl. Even if we don't acknowledge you enough, you're still real.
You're real to us."
You're real to the developers of Etrian Odyssey, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Good on them. But yeah, and also there was the final part of Fest, which is called The Answer, which is a bit of an epilogue to Persona 3. It's controversial.
Yeah.
There are people who have there are a lot of opinions on the writing of The Answer. I don't mind it, and some people really do mind it.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone is in the agreement of, hey, if you're just gonna remake this thing, this is your chance to finally make this easier to recommend, and you're not doing it.
And it was right there. It was
Yeah.
right there, gift wrapped in front of you.
As anyone who knows anything about Atlas will tell you, Atlas doing the obvious and easy thing is basically pulling teeth. With the teeth.
It's
By Nine
a
Inch Nails.
kick in the dick.
Yeah. Also, they're replacing the cast, but I've already made my feelings on that known on your stream. I have many thoughts. We might talk about more of that later, though. That's like an hour-long discussion, I would say.
Yeah.
And that's not what we're even talking about today. We're almost 20 minutes in, and we're not even on the main topic. Amazing. Look at us.
Well, we are oceans that contain multitudes.
And sorry, for some of you, those oceans can be incredibly fast.
Yes, indeed. But Strauss, what is our main topic?
High forces. It's Berserk.
Oh man,
Exciting.
this you were the one who suggested this.
I know. I played Nier Automata already once this week. You think I'm afraid to cry again, Sardo? You think I'm
No.
scared?
I think you're too ready to cry, Strauss, and so am I.
Hooray! Anyway, for those who don't know, Sardo, what be Berserk?
Berserk was originally a manga by the late and unbelievably skilled Kentaro Miura, who was taken from us way too fucking soon. Berserk is what you would call a dark fantasy about a swordsman named Guts.
Proof that your
You might
OCs
know
can be
Guts.
named anything.
You might have seen Guts before. You might have seen him once or twice. He's fairly known by some people. He's fucking iconic is what he is.
I mean, the dude with the giant ass sword in
Like
anything is kind of comes from him.
he was the he is the like original edgy dude with a big ass sword who is like he's the all-father of dudes with big swords.
Sad man with large sword. That's him.
And
That's the
Berserk
that's the first one.
Berserk is known for a few things. Without getting too deep into the plot, it's known for uh and also if you're not familiar with the contents of Berserk, I'm gonna do a little content warning now because
Oh, so many
it's
content warnings.
just generally Berserk is violent. Berserk is extremely violent. Berserk contains themes of uh, sexual assault, horrible murder, horrible things happening to children and innocent people, and just all the worst kind of things. It deals with some really heavy shit, and if that is not your thing, that is totally understandable. But I would suggest that maybe this episode is not cool for you, so that's totally okay. That warning out of the way. That is basically Berserk, and that's the big thing that it's known for. And the other thing is that it's absolutely gorgeous. Like the manga is breathtaking. um Miura's art inspired stuff like Dark Souls. It's inspired so many different things that I really can't name them all. But
I
I don't
mean,
know,
I
Stross,
can we can name more than
as a
that. Let's
summation.
see. Let's see. It also inspired Cloud from Final Fantasy VII.
Hmm.
It inspired. If it's a dude with a sword that looks too big to use, there you go.
Yeah.
We've answered where he came from. Berserk.
Yeah.
But yes,
And along the way, Guts, who has had a very troubled existence.
I feel like troubled existence is how we would describe like you or me. That is maybe the funniest understatement we're gonna make today.
Everything about Guts' life is horrible.
Not everything. He was born
Almost
from
everything.
he was born from a corpse though.
He was this dude is so metal. He was born from a corpse.
Hanging from a tree. His
And
adoptive
he just
mother
fell
died of
out.
plague.
And somebody found him and they were like, "Damn, free baby."
Wow. Free child.
And things did not get much better from there for him. They got better for a little while and then they got really horrible again. And along the way, in his journeys, Guts befriends a couple of people. He befriends a young man named Griffith. Griffith is a very beautiful man.
I mean, you say befriend as much as more of I'm forcing you to be my friend.
Yeah.
Let's not lie to our audience now, Sardo.
I'm trying to keep this simple.
Oh, okay, I know, but still.
I'm a simple man, Stross.
Yeah, but that's factually incorrect, though.
It's not entirely incorrect. Uncorrect.
It's
But,
incorrect.
It's me fail English. That's impossible. Um, Guts also meets a young woman named Casca,
They hate each other.
and they hate each other's guts, and then they don't.
Well, and then he's inside her guts.
Yes, and
And then horrible things happen. Oh, such unspeakable horrors of unspeakable dimensions that are lovingly rendered in black and white.
I think the great long title for Berserk is Guts and the Horrible, Terrible, No Good, Very Bad Day.
And then hastily scribbled at the end, an S was added at the very end.
Days,
Yeah,
multiple,
yeah.
plural.
Very much plural days. But yes, Berserk is not the happiest journey, but it is a journey nonetheless.
Hmm.
So I guess when we were talking about Le Berserk,
Hmm.
Sardo, when did you find Berserk?
Way before like at a much younger age than I should have been reading Berserk at.
As is very normal.
I don't remember exactly when. I'm gonna say probably around seventh grade. I found some some
Wait.
screen caps of like a couple of the manga panels, and I'm like, whoa, this art is so good. I'm gonna read this. Wow. And the rest is
Miss
history.
and
What
Miss.
about you?
I started actually with the original anime from 1997.
Oh.
Because, like, yeah, I've seen panels of it, but, like, Berserk was always something I saw in, like, the manga section, but never issue 1. And it was super
Yeah.
long, and it's just like, I can't get into that right now. There's so much of it. And then, like, I watched the first anime in college. Very, very early college.
Mm-hmm.
Thought it was awesome. Then started reading the manga, and then, yeah, and here I am. Incredibly emotionally invested for the rest of my life, and my life has been intrinsically changed by it.
I there's a coworker of mine who's been catching up with Berserk, and once in a while I'll see him like in the break room reading like one of those huge ass like omnibus versions with the all black cover, and I'll
Which
just
are
kind of look at it and I'll look at him and I'm like, "Oh, good luck, kid. Good luck."
I love those. I love those omnibus collections. By the way, they are beautiful.
Oh, so good.
But I need to mention, like, what's really important here. Do you want to know a little fun fact about the anime? You've seen the other thing that studio has done.
Yes.
Do you know this answer? You want to say it?
Oh, you go ahead.
Okay, fine. So, if you have been alive for the past 30 years, do you like Pokemon?
Love it.
Have you watched any of the Pokemon animes? Any of them?
Only since I was 7.
Yeah, same people. Same studio.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's like the most rare. It's the weirdest fun fact in anime history. It's like, yes, the Adventures of Ash Ketchum for Palatown and Guts' just terrible life over here being
Guts
like
the Black Swordsman.
Guts looking over. It's like, I want what he has. While he's bleeding on the ground for the 1 millionth time.
It's so wild.
It's such a weird, like, huh. Like, it's not that unusual. Animation studios take on work for whatever, but it's so, like, the fact that these were released at around the same time period makes it so much funnier.
It's so good.
It's like,
And
oh hey, here's Berserk, and also from us, here's Pokemon. Only one of these is gonna make us a shit ton of money.
also Berserk, the other thing I think the anime is maybe better known for is having like some of the best English dub outtakes.
My favorite one, since we're on it, there's two. It is the two that no one brings up.
Uh-huh.
One of them is from Dan Green. Yes, that Yu-Gi-Oh fame Dan Green, where he goes, "Don't hate the player, hate the game." And the other one is from the beloved Mark Darienson, or however his last name is pronounced, who plays Guts, and I forgot this one happened. Mikasa goes, "You weren't listening, were you?" And he's like, "You weren't listening, were you?" It's so childish.
And they're so phenomenally silly for such a not silly anime.
Griffith goes into song every so often in these outtakes.
Oh, I'm just a girl who can't
Say no. But yeah, it's a beloved English dub. Even now, it's still pretty good, especially the main trio. And
Oh, it holds up.
it's funny because, like, you would never guess this, but those three are not super duper active, but still very much around.
Mm-hmm.
It's just surprising because they're all really good. The one who's probably most active is hold on, I have to make sure I pronounce her last name correctly. It's Carrie. Yeah, I could just go to my phone. She's in one of my mobile games. Carrie Karenin, I believe it's how it's pronounced. She's still around. In fact, I will be streaming games she's in later this year. I'll point out when.
For her.
Yeah. But yeah, Mark's also in stuff still. They're all very talented, and they were in the Berserk movies, though. Thankfully, they missed out on the other show that they made.
Yes.
The unspeakable evil that we've decided not to discuss.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
Well, no, we do in one sense as the greatest monkey paw moments in anime. Oh, they're making a new Berserk show? Awesome. They're making it about the non-Golden Age stuff? Even better. Oh, no.
Shit was so rough.
We were so hoping, and then it hurts so bad. But anyway, we should probably talk more about actual Berserk instead of things about Berserk that aren't actually Berserk, kind of, sort of, but not really.
Huh.
So, yeah. Berserk is a manga, as we mentioned. And we're going manga first for a variety of reasons. I think this is fair.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Sardo.
Yeah.
Who is your favorite character?
Oh. I mean, can I say Guts and Casca together? Because
Yeah.
I mean, for one thing, they're such a good couple. They're such a good couple. Like normally I don't do like they hate each other, but then they learn to love each other. But it works here.
Well,
it really does.
I think the reason why it works here is because like when they first meet each other, it's not on good terms.
No.
And also like it changed because you go through the whole process of it changing over time.
Mm-hmm.
And more importantly, Mira's a good enough writer to where like you buy it.
That's precisely it. Like you can buy what he's selling you because it's done well. And there's like stuff I don't love by and large how Berserk treats its ladies. It's the thing of Yakuza, and it's also the dark fantasy thing a la Game of Thrones that it's just kind of like there is some like really misogynistic shit in there that it's like I don't love, and I don't love what happens to Casca.
I don't either, but you know who also agrees with you on it, Sardo? Or did agree with it? Kentaro Mira. He also agreed, like, you know what, I went to some of these wells a bit too many times. It's one thing when you do it a couple of times. It's another thing when you did it like 5 times.
You know, it takes somebody of substance to look at their own work and admit, yeah, that was pretty fucked up.
You know what, I should have done this a bit differently. I went to this well a bit too much.
But I'm getting off topic. I like both of them. I think I like Guts as much as I do because like I joke about him being like the archetypal like edgy, brooding dude with a huge weapon, but the way that he's written and the minutiae of his character is so good.
Well, I think what separates him from the ilk that came after him is that he is written with the sense that he's still a person. He's just someone who's very, very, we're going to probably add a couple more varies in there just to be safe.
Very, very, very.
Traumatized man who's been through some horrible things, but he's not like, he's allowed to be introspective.
And I think, and it's too that his trauma is not used as kind of like a, well, I've been through horrible things, so I'm allowed to be a piece of shit
Oh yeah,
because of
no,
my
like
trauma.
one of my favorite things is post eclipse, and if you know what that means, you know what it means. When he comes back to, it's not really the home base, to Godo's, and everyone yells at him for being gone on a murderous rampage for 2 years. Everyone's like, "You dumb murder hobo, you stupid idiot! Where the fuck were you? You're blaming us for all the bad shit that happened, and yet you were doing nothing but being selfish." And he's like, "Ah, shit, they're right."
And
That's the difference right
that's
there.
what sets Guts apart from the dudes who were inspired by him afterwards, but didn't take away that crucial bit that it's like you said, Guts is a person.
Well, it's it's that point of Guts is allowed to be awful, but doesn't benefit from being a terrible person.
And and the
In a way other than just cause, like, the way I put it is that Guts has to be like, okay, so we should probably explain what the hell's happening, because I realize this makes no sense if you've never read Berserk. So
right.
in Berserk, it starts as the Black Swordsman arc, which is the worst part of the manga. So if you're reading this for the first time, just power through it. Trust me, it's worth it.
Hmm.
Deal with Murder Hobo Guts, because you get to the Golden Age arc and you see where Guts comes from. It's
And
really bad. It's very like, oh dear God, what the fuck?
but if you stick in for the long haul, it's a character arc, and he builds and he changes. And the dude you start out with is not the dude that you're gonna have 50 chapters down the road.
Well, in fairness, because 50 chapters down the road, it's him like 8 years ago.
You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but like anyway, the point is, it goes into the Golden Age arc where he gets accosted by Griffith and the Band of the Hawk. He gets forced into their service because he took a bet and lost.
Hmm.
And Guts keeps his word on this bet because Griffith beat his ass. In fairness. And then they fight what has been 100 years war between the country of Midland and the Tudor Empire, or whatever it's called.
The other place
It's
that
not
we don't
really.
hear about.
It's not that important outside of the Golden Age arc, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, forget about it.
They're the ones with all the funny names for all their cavalry units. The Black
And the band
Rams, the Purple
and
Whales.
and what is the Band of the Hawk?
It's a
B-
mercenary group led by Griffith.
And who's Griffith?
Griffith is Sir Oscar from Rose of Versailles, but actually
I
a guy.
I once joked that a friend of mine suggested that Timothy Chalamet should play Griffith if they ever make a live action Berserk movie, and it's like, I'll accept that if he gets to wear like a really shitty $12 Party City wig.
But I joke, the Sir Oscar joke is not a joke.
Oh no, no, yeah,
No,
no.
there's a great picture by Mura explaining the origin of the character design, and it's like, I
Yeah.
thought, what if Sir Oscar from the Rose of Versailles and Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star were in the same manga, and I went from there.
And it was a masterpiece.
And he was correct. It's so great because that drawing is like him jokingly doing their respective art styles.
Hmm.
It's really, if you can find that image online, people, go look at it. It is worth it.
I think I've seen it before. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, but anyway, so the next thing that happens is they fight this war, and the Band of the Hawk starts turning shit around, and Griffith keeps getting promoted because we learned he wants to have his own kingdom one day because he used to be a poor little fuck, and he doesn't want to be a poor little fuck anymore.
He's ambitious. He's on that Sigma male grind set.
Absolutely. And then well, as they keep winning the war, he keeps getting promoted and knighted, and it's like everyone's like, "Wow, Griffith's sure doing well." In the meantime, like Guts is like, "Man, what is my purpose in life?" Because he's like, "Do I just swing sword? It's what I do."
What if I am sword?
What if I try to be more than just sword? So after
And
they like run into a weird monsterman named Nosferatu Zod, he's important.
yes.
He leaves the band the Hawk. He's like, Griffith, I remember you saying after you had me kill somebody, which was a really weird choice because who else owns a sword this big? That's my favorite thing when he has him kill that one guy. And you're like,
Yeah.
I understand that you trust the Guts the most, but Jadu throws knives. And that's something anyone can do. Like, people won't know who threw a knife, but like, a sword that big can only be one person.
It's like, this guy got horse cleaved. Surely Horse Cleaver Jones wouldn't do this.
Man. Flamethrower. This guy got hit with a flamethrower. Maybe it can't have been Flamethrower Bob.
And I think unspoken through all this is there is a very clear like romantic tension, maybe one-sided between Guts and Griffith. Like, I'm sorry, there are people who are in a gay relationship, and then there's whatever the fuck those two had going on.
In fairness, a big part of the Golden Age arc is this very deep interplay between Guts, Casca, and Griffith.
Oh yeah, they're a throuple.
This is not like, sometimes people say it's a love triangle. This is an actual love triangle where who's gonna end up with who is a legitimate question midway through.
And it actually works in the dynamics of a love triangle and not just two people fighting over the same person.
I call that a love angle personally when that happens, because if there's no connecting third line, then and if the connecting third line is just romantic rivals, that doesn't count.
Unless it's the alligator mouth.
Exactly. And then you try a little consummate V's on it.
But
consummate V's.
This is like a legitimate love triangle.
like Casca likes Griffith. Griffith is an ambiguous twink who's hard to read. We both do, but not for the reasons that you think, chat. I don't know. We'll get there.
And then Guts likes Casca.
Well, not at first, and then very much.
He learns to like.
Well, and obviously during this whole time, like Guts and Casca's relationship starts shifting because they both kind of realize that Griffith doesn't love people. And not in the like, and we should say not in like that sort of, oh, he's arrow ace kind of way. No, in like this guy doesn't view anyone else outside of him as important.
He's sus.
He is incredibly sus, and he gets susser as when Guts leaves, he goes off the deep end and fucks a princess.
And he basically fucks the princess just because he can.
It should really tell you a lot about Griffith as a human being that the first time he really loses, what does he do? Does he go to Casca, who loves and cares about him and is willing to be there for him? Does he go to his men and be like, at least I can drive myself into military duty? No, I'm going to go with like the teenage princess who is utterly obsessed with me and will let me do it.
And I think Griffith is more or less like high fantasy Dennis Reynolds from It's Always Sunny. That's what he is.
I mean, yeah, but that's giving Dennis Reynolds way too much credit. Griffith is way more competent. Like, hyper competent.
The idea still stands.
Well, basically, Griffith is an overly ambitious fuck and accidentally gets himself put into prison because, you just absolutely had sex with the Princess of Midland.
You took the princess's virginity, my guy. That is frowned upon in this particular society. And Griffith gets tortured and castrated and mutilated, and he is no longer very pretty at all.
Yeah, and he wears a really like mocking helmet. But yeah, Guts comes back. They're like, "Oh shit, the Band of the Hawk is in some bad place," and then Guts and Casca have like rocking good sex. You know what? I know that is actually what happens, but I feel like I'm really downplaying the emotional importance of this scene.
It is, and I say this without a shred of irony. The Guts and Casca like scene is one of like the most like romantic and sweet sex scenes I've ever seen in anything in my entire life.
Well, the way I put it is, and one thing, Mira would be the first one to say this, but he was someone who read a lot of shoujo manga because he thought it
Yeah.
was neat.
Oh, totally. And you can see that in kind of you can tell his work is inspired by a lot of that.
He would be the first one to say the emotional moments of my work are based after this.
That's why they're so good.
And it's true.
But yeah, they hook up and it's very beautiful actually.
Like, I know I say they have rocking good sex, but really it doesn't start as rocking good sex.
Yeah.
It starts off because Guts was, a lot of people have been sexually traumatized in this manga, so
Guts had some really awful shit happen to him as a kid.
yeah.
We'll leave it at that.
And it traumatized him. But then it's like, no, I could do this. And then and Costco's like, no, it's okay. You can come here and get hugged. And he's like, hug, good.
and it's this kind of like process of him like her like respecting his boundaries and then him being like, this isn't horrible and scary, and this person cares about me and they're not gonna hurt me.
And then he's like, I want to keep doing with you forever. And it's the most romantic shit. I'm going to post a panel to Sardo, and I know exactly which panel he's probably thinking of. It's this one. Not for the sex part, but this part.
Yep. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
It's deeply romantic, and it's one of the most romantic things you're going to see in any manga ever.
Not a word said between them in this instant, and it's just the body language and the expressions. Stross, it's perfect.
And then the background's really good too.
And it can't be said enough just what a fucking remarkable artist Miura was.
Like, the thing that is so frustrating about Berserk is that the worst art in Berserk was at the very start, and it got better.
Yeah.
Like, the start of Berserk's art is really good. Also, the man Mira was a master of like monster design. While we're at it, like,
Yeah.
is scary.
Oh my god, yeah.
His scary monsters when they finally show up are like, whoa! A lot of penis imagery though.
Oh, it's very
very
phallic,
phallic.
very like psychosexual, and a lot of Miura's monster design. Quite a bit of it was inspired by stuff like the Cenobites from Hellraiser, and you can tell.
You know what one of my favorite ones is, and you'll remember this. When he drew a dragon for like one panel and it never showed up again. He just like, I'm gonna draw one of the coolest dragons you're ever gonna see. That's it. No more dragon.
And he did shit like that on the regular, just whipping out the most incredible monster designs you've ever seen in your entire life, and then just, okay, they're gone now.
Up instead, Guts smashed it with his sword. It wasn't immune to sword. It's actually funny because I remember when Mira passed away and I was eulogizing him. You can still find that on my Twitter if you look down in my media tab far enough. because I don't post a lot of pictures. I don't art like somebody here. Somebody here arts a lot and therefore posts lots of pictures. You should follow Sardo on the Twitter to see the art. But like I always said, some of my favorite panels in the entire manga, 95% of them are probably not even action sequences.
Oh.
Like one of them, some of them are actually very recent too.
Mm-hmm.
Like this one. Hell, this one doesn't even have any of the characters we've talked about yet.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so basically what happens is Guts, Casca, they become a couple, and then Griffith, in his infinite rage, sacrifices all of his men and tries to sacrifice Guts and Casca to dark gods, and it works, kind of.
Sorta, a little bit.
Most of those characters from the Golden Age arc are dead, except for 3.
Mm-hmm.
Guts, Casca, and Rickard, who was not there at the time. The small boy gets to live.
Yay!
But yeah, and what happens afterwards is Griffith unleashes hell upon Earth as the world gets darker with horrible monstermen.
And Griffith essentially becomes the Antichrist.
And God, when people say fuck Griffith and we wanted that twink obliterated, this is what we mean. We want him gone.
Griffith is like, I will say the amount of bullshit it takes to make a fandom hate a beautiful man.
It's like I can't think of another series where the most hated character is that pretty.
Yeah.
That isn't a woman.
It doesn't happen very often.
For a man, practically unheard of.
Yeah. But he does it, and holy shit, fuck Griffith, because he essentially breaks Casca mentally completely. She becomes so traumatized that, and again, this is not something that I loved that Miura did, that she essentially regresses into this catatonic kind of childlike state for a while because she is so fucked up by what happened to her. And don't love that.
Don't love that. But it does lead to one of my other favorite panels.
Mm-hmm.
And that is this one. You know what panel this is, and you're going to be like, yes.
I know.
This panel's great. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. But yeah, the problem with that is the treatment of Casca is very odd to talk about because Casca is a lot of people's favorites.
And she essentially gets fridged without dying.
And without she gets gently put in the fridge to be saved for later. Which is not good. But if we're grading on a curve for comics, is surprisingly better.
It's not like the most egregious case that ever happened, but it's still insulting considering what a good character she's been.
It's one of those things where it's like it's frustrating, but also like
at least she gets the chance to come back and like slowly regain herself, but
and those chapters, by the way, when they do, are also really good.
Yeah.
Some of his best art are in those chapters. You're just like, God damn, it's beautiful. Because it's one thing, because usually a lot of the manga is Miura kind of like putting the unreal and the real in like the real world, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's putting like fantastical monsters. It's, you know, it's putting the fantastical in like a much more grounded setting.
Yes.
So when you go into Casca's like mindscape, you could be weird. And he relished that because he did some absolute wacky stuff.
And I think Miura does do his best when he's allowed to just be kind of wackadoo in his artwork for a little bit.
And he's smart enough not to overdo it.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, he saves it for when it matters. So, like, when you see, like, the Dragon Slayer, which is Guts' biggest fuckiest offy sword.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like being dried out, so it's all floppy and wet. Like, that's so goofy.
It is.
Oh man, we haven't talked about some of the other characters who've shown up. But the point is, when Casca does come back, goddamn, was it like, that was a moment. That was the real. That was the woman of all time moment of the century. The world was like, bitch, she back.
Yeah, and I have such conflicting feelings about everything to do with Casca because like there's a lot that it's like, okay, there's some redemption there because we do get to see her regaining herself over time, but also it's colossally frustrating. It is.
It's a thing that I feel like if Mira, I think if Mira was still alive and had a chance to redo it, he would do it differently. Which is sort of the reason why I'm not so mad about it.
Like, for me, it's not mad, just disappointed.
Yeah. It's one of those things where you're just like, if you gave him the option, he probably would have changed some things.
I don't doubt that for a second.
But, yeah. Like, he also owns the fact that he did it.
Yeah.
So it's just like, can I really be that mad?
It's better than a lot of creators do. Agreed.
With that said, we also should continue onwards. We should talk about some of the other characters who show up. Like, yes. beloved Farnese.
Aww.
My messed up, sweet girl. My stupid, ruined by real
girl.
My sweet, loves to cause problems girl.
On purpose.
I like setting fires. That's not wrong.
She's so fucked up.
And we love her for it.
And considering some of the shit that's happened to her, you can't really blame her.
Yeah, she's from an overly rich family, and like, you're the wild one. But God,
and there was also the horse thing.
Oh Lord, the horse thing.
We don't talk about the horse thing.
We are not going to talk about the horse thing farther than we've already have.
Thank you. But she's great. I like her. I love about it when girls...
We could talk about the sword thing, though.
We could.
Girl had her tits out.
She surely did.
That's how you know she was going crazy, going nuts.
I love it when women in fiction are allowed to be fucked up little freaks.
And she's a fucked up little freak. And then she becomes a little less fucked up. Still a freak.
But that's growth.
Her growth is still a fucking freak. That's what we love. It's like, no, you're still a freak. You're just less of a freak.
You're less actively harmful to other human beings.
While being given the ability to set things on fire with the power of your mind. It's like, are we sure she's doing the right thing? I don't know, but she's learning magic. And then there's beloved Isidro and his dumb shonen-y ways.
Yes.
My favorite part is, I forget which part of it, he was talking about, like, oh, the man who killed 100 guys in a night. And, like, I was like, wow, yeah, it must have been impressive. And in Guts' head, he's like, I shouldn't tell him. It's a bad idea if I tell him.
It's like, who's gonna let him know?
It's like, if I let him know, I'm never gonna hear the end of it. He's a little monkey boy. He's not actually a monkey. We should mention.
He's a cheeky little fella.
He's like monkey.
He's monkey.
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 And then there's Farnese's beloved, as we learn, half brother,
Yep.
Serpico, the twink we don't want obliterated.
He's okay. This twink can live.
This twink's fine. All he does is wants to protect his half sistery thing. We say thing because Farnese's crazy.
He means his best.
He's doing his best. He's a smart guy. He's the second best fighter here.
He's a decent fella, which in this universe is a little hard to come by.
Oh god, yeah. And then there's Guts' daughter.
Yep.
Shrike. She's a little witch.
And she's adorable.
She's baby.
She's so baby. I would die for her.
And that's kind of the group after the band, the Hawk, where Guts is like, wow, I have friends and family again. This is great. I like this. This makes me happy.
And it's so nice to see Guts like so much of Guts's like character arc is just finding community, finding, support and learning how to be vulnerable in the face of a universe that has been so cruel and so vicious. And
Well,
I love
mean,
that.
the whole point of Berserk is that empathy is the way to go, guys. Violence is, in fact, not the answer.
And it's like it's so funny because Berserk I do think is pretty much always known for like being really fucked up and really dark. And yes, it is. That absolutely is. But those moments of incredible darkness are balanced by these instances of tenderness and beauty and compassion.
Well, you know what that means, Sardo. When at
Well,
the end of the conviction arc, where given the choice to take his revenge or save Casca, and Guts chooses to save Casca, and you're like, this is the best manga ever.
yeah,
And you're like,
yeah.
I'm forever changed by this material.
It it is life-changing. It's and I think there's so much that it's like tried to copycat kind of off of the general theme of Berserk and a lot of the aesthetics of it without actually delving into the stuff behind it that makes it so memorable. Because yes, it's a dark, horrible world, but there is beauty and companionship to be found within it. I
And
don't know.
that's the and that's the point. That's the point.
That's why Berserk is so good.
Yes. And also the art is
And I know we've been discussing Kentaro Miura's passing, but I think especially in light of the recent discussion around and the hashtag comics broke me, because I follow and I'm friends with a lot of comic artists. And I think you can't really have that discussion without talking about what happened with Miura.
all right.
Because
I have
he
a
worked
question.
himself to
I
death.
I have a question for you, Mr. Sardo. It's a
Uh-huh.
real one.
Yeah.
What were you doing when that was announced and you learned it?
I was at work. I was at work on my break.
Oof. I was at home. I was on a video call with my mother and my older sister.
Oh.
So I'm like, I was sitting there trying to keep myself together. Because it's like, I don't want to suddenly be like really upset while I'm playing Jackbox party games with my family.
Right. And I like what did it mean to you when you heard about him passing?
I mean, I cried. I'm just going to say it. I cried.
Yeah. I did too.
It was like there's a lot of people who will tell you that like someone meant a lot to them without
Mm-hmm.
ever having meet them, and usually you're like, yeah, I believe it or whatever. It's like I get it.
But he he was 54.
Yeah, he was 54 and he looked good.
He
Like recent, like you usually the one picture you everyone sees of Mira is from like black and white and like from like 30 years ago
mm-hmm.
with the goofy smile, like hey.
Yeah.
But it's just like what really sucked was for me, and I think you'll agree with me when I say it,
Mm-hmm.
was that it sucked that he didn't get a chance to finish what he started.
Yeah.
Like it,
Because I mean,
like in that way of like you and I as creative people, like you knew he wanted to finish it.
yeah.
He took his time and we're like, he's gonna finish it. And now he won't. But it will not end.
No.
Oh
It's
God.
still going.
Did you see more his Maury's like tribute to him in manga
I did.
format? God, that
Yeah.
one, that hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Like to be friends with the guy all your life and be like, so this is it. This is where it ends. Uh,
But I don't know. I wish people talked a little more about what happened to Miura because I think you know, there's a lot to be learned and I like I said, a lot of people near and dear to me do art and a lot of them do it professionally. And if you're an artist, like please please give yourself time to rest. Take care of yourself. Like
and
I'm sorry for getting like
no, and
super deadly
also
serious here for a minute, but
while you're on it, get you a friend like Koji Mori,
yeah,
someone who will try to finish your work for you, so you can know that you did it.
exactly.
And that's what matters.
But man, I don't know. I can't really talk about Berserk without talking about that because it's shit
It's
needs to change.
yeah. And what really sucked about it was that like Mira was the one who took his time.
Yeah.
This was
He
it was so unlike so many other people.
he really tried and this still happened to him.
It
But
also probably didn't help that he, probably smoked too many cigarettes. Don't
like
smoke.
also like if you can smoking's no good.
Don't smoke. That's if there's one thing that we as Americans have done well over the past 60 years is curb smoking.
Yeah. But I I guess to cut things off there, I dude left behind an incredible legacy and like if you gotta have a life's work, then Berserk's not a bad one to have.
God, man, I also remember all the other mangaka on Twitter were just really not happy.
Yeah.
Like if you like because the thing that made Mira so fascinating was he was very not in the public eye.
He
Like
was a pretty private dude.
he did a few interviews here and there, but he mostly just plugged away at his work, did his thing, played Idol Masters too much. He loved him some Idol Masters.
But Kentaro Miura was a shining example of minding your own business.
Yeah, and like, but he like apparently talked to a lot of mangaka all the time because everyone like came out with stories. My personal favorite one was the lady who does Yona of the Dawn.
Yeah.
It's like when they were doing like the anniversary omnibus, he did an art for it, and she was like, "This is the most important thing that anyone has ever given to me," and like that tells you something. That
Yes.
she treasured that shit. She's like, this is important.
And I think I love stories like that about artist communities and seeing, people support each other in that regard. I think that I'm sorry, I get sappy about this shit because it means a lot.
Yeah, and
Also,
that's what matters.
little little factoid I dug up here that I thought was interesting.
Go for it.
Kaim from the first Drakengard was based on Guts, apparently, according to Yoko Taro. Another person we talk about a lot on
Yeah,
this podcast
apparently.
and in our streams.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was just playing near Automata. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But
basically, if you come away from this weird, rambly discussion, read Berserk.
read Berserk.
And just be warned, like 95% of all trigger warnings.
Yeah, I would say before you go in, and even
Oh, no,
even if
so
you
many. So many.
even if you're not particularly bothered by a lot of content in media, I would say just go in, check out like the content warnings. Does the Dog Die is a great website if you're looking for kind of what's contained in stuff, because Berserk is beautiful. Berserk is amazing. I would not recommend Berserk to every single person because there's it's it gets real dark, but if you can handle the dark, it's worth it because
Oh God, it's so worth it.
there's moments of unbelievable beauty in there too. Yeah.
But
So,
maybe one of the best romances you're gonna read in anything.
yes. And if you like monster design,
Here,
do yourself a favor.
yeah, and at the very worst, find the monster design.
Yeah, but Berserk was good stuff. Hopefully it'll continue to be good stuff.
It's been pretty solid so far since Mori took it over. It is different. It is different.
It's bound to be.
Well, no, the most interesting part is like the paneling.
Mm-hmm.
Because the paneling is different, and this is not like an insult, it's just.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, it's like, it's not a bad thing. It's just, it's like the first few chapters are like, this is not how he would handle it, because you're a
No.
different person. Not
It definitely.
definitely not like in a bad way. It's just like, wow, it really goes to show how different artists can be.
Oh, totally.
It's more of like, that's more of a statement of, oh, this isn't bad. More of a statement of, wow, it's really fascinating how two separate artists can be so different
Oh yeah.
and something so minute. It's neat.
It is.
But yeah, I think that is a good place to end this discussion before we make ourselves cry fully.
All right. I think that's a sound plan. And before we close off, Stross, what the hell you reading? What the hell you watching?
I'm about to be reading a whole bunch of Conan, and I'm really excited.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna be starting it this week. I have to read the first collection of short stories for my book club, and I'm like, yeah. But the big thing, and you know this one,
Uh-huh.
is that because you're gonna be there Sunday night, which
Mm-hmm.
for everyone listening to this, sorry, that was yesterday. But we're starting Strong Bad's Cool Game for Attractive People, Episode 1, Homestar Ruiner.
Oh, I can't wait.
I'm so excited.
Shit's
And-
gonna be so good.
Oh yeah, I'm so happy. Consummate V's, baby. Consummate. What about you,
I'm
El Sarrino?
I just recently as in today, I started reading, I think, Junji Ito's one of his more recent manga collections. It was called Tombs. And it's a bunch of his one-shot stuff all compiled together. Really good so far. I think it's pretty interesting. It's pretty typical fare for what he writes, and I've liked it so far. Love me some Junji Ito. I also finished Do You Love Your Mom and her two-hit multi-target attacks, and it sucked.
That's what I heard about it.
It was garbage. It was hot garbage. Outside of the novelty of the title. And I also think that it's like the biggest coward move you can do is to have a quote unquote MILF in your work and then to have her say, "Oh, she looks so young. She's like a woman in her 20s." It's like you coward, you dipshit.
I mean,
You
you could
weak
just make
little
her a
man.
young mom. You could just make her a young mom, and that would be fine, and we'd be less annoyed.
It's like that's we're here for a MILF. We're not here for a young mom.
I mean, we're also here for a young mom, but we're both right. But that's not what we're talking about. I think it's the best way to put it.
It's the act of a coward, and I don't support it. And I think that even if the rest of it hadn't been bad, it would be bad just for that. And that's how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that about wraps it up for the night. It's been good. I'm Sardo. That's Stross.
Yeah, and
You
you can... I will... No, let me do this for you.
Oh, all right.
You can follow Sardo at Topsy Garlands on Twitter, or Marky Palaio for the art Twitter.
Yeah.
You can follow him as well on Twitch at Uncle with a K, Death.
I stream on Monday nights, 6:30 Mountain Standard Time.
8:30
I
Eastern.
draw.
8:30 Eastern Standard Time for the rest of you East Coasties, and 5:30 Pacific.
And Stross is there. Stross.
Yeah, usually.
Stross is the entertainment. I am the I draw.
You're
the
the
drawer.
substance. I'm the style. You're the substance. Or are you the style and I'm the substance? Or are we?
Porque no los dos.
I don't know. I feel like are you the peanut butter or am I the jam? This is an important question.
Both people.
Oh
Or,
God.
I think you're the peanut butter.
I'm okay with it. I like both. So this is what kind of jam are you, or jelly if you prefer jelly?
I want to be blackberry jam.
You know what? That is a good pick.
Yes. And you can follow Stross here across social media at Almighty Stross. Follow him on Twitch because he's there Tuesdays and Thursdays and Sunday. And you should be here on Sunday because Sunday's going to get good.
Yeah. And also Tuesday, since Sunday would already happen, you can watch the VOD.
Watch the VOD.
And if you
Recommend
want,
that.
and maybe Sarah's going to be there Tuesday.
I'm going to be there Sunday. I'm going to
Definitely
be there
Sunday.
Sunday.
We'll see
I'm
Tuesday.
going to be there Sunday. I don't have work on Monday, so I'm going to be there Sunday.
Oh, hell yeah. And
Yeah.
maybe Sarah might be there Tuesday for doing the second episode. I don't remember how long these things are, so we'll find out.
We'll figure it.
We'll find out how fast it goes because, well, if I have to go into the second one, I'll have to go into the second one on Tuesday. We'll find out. I'm like, maybe it might be the second episode. I don't know. I haven't played
Ross
this
is the regular streamer of the two of us.
This is
so
true.
you should
Well,
give him a
you're
follow.
pretty regular now. Give yourself some credit.
I don't do it as often as you do.
Definitely
But
not as
that's all right.
often, but you are regularly streaming Mondays now, and they have been spectacular. You've
Well, it's been a
drawn
lot of fun.
you had a breakdown last week when you were
I
drawing.
lost
You lost it so hard. It was great. Sardo lost it drawing Ichiban's naked booty with his sad puppy dog face. He was so sad.
I need to see if I can go back and clip that. That was
If you have VODs set to recording, you should absolutely. I should have clipped it, but I was too busy also laughing at you laughing like crazy. That was the real problem, is that we were both just giggle. You had a full on like cry laughing moment, and it was amazing.
I did.
It was great. This is why you should come to Sardo streams. This is the stuff that happens.
It's a laugh riot. And yeah, that's our show.
We'll
Thank you for being here.
we might talk more about Berserk another day. Maybe get more specific, like our favorite arcs, more of our favorite characters. And if it finally ends, we'll discuss how we thought it was going to end, or how we wanted
I
it to end.
I would like a part 2 specifically so I can yell about monsters some more.
Oh hell yeah! We'll definitely return to Berserk someday.
All
It's
right.
a very dense manga, people. It's like 350 chapters.
It is. You should go read it
Go
if you
read it.
want to.
No, absolutely go read it. It goes by pretty fast. Like,
It does.
it's not a lot, and it's very readable. It's not like part one of Chainsaw Man. Like, oh my god, you lost a whole day to like 100 chapters.
Yeah.
Mostly because you're gonna have to like set it down for a bit, look out the window, hope it rains so it matches your mood. Play the
Try a
Berserk,
little.
play Hirasawa's soundtrack for the anime, and just be like, such is the world that I live in. Also, speaking of which, just like we didn't talk any. I'm surprised we didn't mention him beyond like a slight reference.
Uh-huh.
Suzumu Hirasawa's soundtrack for the
Oh
original
my
Berserk
God.
anime is like triple S tier, full platinum. Thank God it exists.
He's the fucking dude.
He is the weird dude of all time.
Yeah.
And
Good
also
stuff.
really needs to stop shacking up with artists who die early on him.
Yeah.
It keeps happening. It's not good.
But folks, thanks for listening. As always, it's been real. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.
And
You have a good night or good day, and read Berserk.
read Berserk, drink some water, go outside, get
Read
some
Bers-
fresh air, and then go read more Berserk.
Or read Berserk outside. It's summertime right now, and if it's good enough to read outside, go do it.
I can't tell you what to do.
Yeah, it's totally normal to read outside.
Good night, everybody.
Like on a park bench. And good night.